Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and I am going to spend time now on these next videos working on, well, three issues that are in partially applied. You can see there's 6 here. I can count. You may also notice that my image on the lower right is a little bit bigger. I decided it's just too small. Gotta give my face a little bit more love. Hold on. It's in the morning, so I'm still getting my throat ready to go and talk. But as I've mentioned many times, it's easier for me to do an episode or two in the morning and before the day job starts. Works out really well. Problem is that I'm still drinking coffee and my voice hasn't started working yet. So anyway, there's 3 things that I'm going to do, and then the rest of it I'm going to do off camera. And I just want to get the 1.0 version out. So there are open generics, optional values, and then this create diagnostics that I'll explain what that means in a moment. The open generics, and I've done a bunch of work in good old Console App 6 to figure out what does it take to not just do and support open generics, but also optional values and methods. So the nice thing is, again, I can just kind of write stuff out here and see, well, how would this work? What would work? And the good news is that all of this will work. I just have to be, in the case of open generics, smart that when a function defines open generics, that I just put it in the function definition here, and then also here for the function action. And if I'm declaring delegates up at the top here, I'd have to do the exact same thing. So, but that should all work. That's something that shouldn't be too bad to do. I think I already do that in Rocks. I'm just going to start getting that loaded as well, because I think I can steal some code from there to do what I need to do. The optionals is pretty straightforward. I just have to detect that if there are parameters that have optional values, that you actually go down the custom route and declare delegates. You could do this via function action, meaning the call would still work, but you would lose the ability to use the optionals. So that's why I'm going to go this route. And then because of that, I have to have another special name here, apply. It's going to be apply with optionals. And that has kind of led to another thing, which I'll show in a moment. Okay, so I did a whole bunch of tests with code. I put that all in the issues and everything seems fine. But the issue that came up, excuse me, is this one, which is these special cases where you have ref read only, or optional values, not more than 16 arguments or 16 parameters. That's a non-standard method, a custom delegate route, but it doesn't require you to put in the apply with. And in these cases, you really need to. So I'm going to put a diagnostic in it that we find a method that has these cases and you didn't use one of these things, to then create a diagnostic to tell you, apply with ref return should be used with methods that have a ref return. Apply with optional should be used with methods that have optional values for parameters. Stuff like that. Okay, but I'm going to do the other 2 first. And I think I'm going to, honestly, it doesn't really matter too much which one I do first. I think I'm going to do open generics because that has to be done in both cases. Okay, so yeah, we got some research here. All right, so let's dive into it. What is my estimation on getting all of this stuff done? Let's see if we have anything to Nope. So, oops, not that. Okay, so let's go back to Git. Say new branch. What is this? One? Yeah, one. Open generics. Okay. So we go into the builders. And let's just do standard delegate builder for now. Okay. Do I have any? Okay, let's go to rocks now. And let's open. We don't want to match case. Oh, we're doing something there. I just shook my head because I could hear the cats fighting outside my door. So there is a spot where we're detecting this. Okay, so we do have a way to say, do you have open generics? Okay. And honestly, when I look at this, this is a little different in that you could arguably close the generic by when you're declaring, when you're stating the call here. If I come over here and, well, no, it's console F6. Like here, if I came into this and said var x is equal to partially apply, and then I would do something like targets dot combine begin int 3. Okay. Well, this is a little interesting because, yeah, I didn't really think this through. You're saying that this could have been not just a func of t int string. It could have been just a, you know, I could have declared it not down here as open here. Okay. So, which is fine. I know you're all kind of like, what in the world are you talking about? What I'm getting at is, what I could have done in this case is begin int int. So if I said something like this, okay, int string apply that and then int, okay. Well, then this we simplify. Okay, where does this resolve to? It resolves to that. Okay, that's because that's the, well, I don't know all the rules of method overloading in C#. I would say this is the most specific one, and it picks this one because it's the best option. If I did something like this, here I have not specified what the T is, and I'm saying it here. So if in this case, you've closed it, and so it sees it as being it is a generic, but it has an int, and then a return of string. And so all we would have to do is say, well, that's your type. If you've made the call site itself generic, then yes, we have to do this. And then specify, like in this case, a func that takes a open generic, and the same thing with the delegate. So the point of what I'm getting at here is that it's actually the openness of the call is determined by what you've typed in for apply. If you said this, then you better have specified a method that has all specified types. If you don't, and there's a T there, it's going to be a compiler error, but that's from C#. It may look a little weird in that you've given us a method that doesn't close or doesn't fully specify all the types. So it's probably a diagnostic that we want to check, which is if you give, the number of open generics non-specified values here has to be the same as what you have on the side here. And they have to match. Now, what happens if I see a T here? A T could be the name of a type. You could have customer here, and a naming convention doesn't help. You know, generic names are usually T or starting with a T, though I've seen V and K and other things like that. So there's no help for you here. You'd have to look at the method call itself and say, well, in this case, well, you could look at the call itself and say the number of type arguments to the call has to be the same as the number of type arguments to the apply call. And if they're not, and they don't have the same names, then you're screwed. Now, what I call that as a message for the diagnostic, I'm not sure. But that way, the reason why I'd want to check this is I could just leave it to the compiler, but it may give a little bit of weirdness in that you know, what would you see? What would you see if I did something like this? Well, it knows that the T is there. Okay, so that doesn't really help. What happens if we just did this like that? Okay, where we're passing a 3. Well, now we've resolved that that's, you know, a 3, so it doesn't, we're not helping ourselves here. And I probably don't have enough coffee this morning to really get this through my head. So, yeah, well, what happens if I said combine AND here? For some reason, it picked the int string, because that's the only combine AND, and I guess this is the only thing that could possibly match. So it picks that. I don't know. This is kind of a interesting conundrum. A very interesting conundrum. I thought this would be a lot. I thought I had this all figured out. Now that I'm doing more of this, I'm not really. It's not clear to me what. I guess you'd have to say if the compiler has said that the call has open generics, then the apply, the one that you create here, needs to have open generics. Okay, and C# then will just target that one, and that's the one that you're going to call. So I think that's what I'm getting at. And as you can see here, well, you're not technically passing in the T. It's implied, because values of type T, that's what you're going to call. You don't end up actually calling like this one or the other one, this one or that one. I don't know. But that's what you're trying to do. Okay. Now, if I suddenly, let's comment this out. Okay. And now let's comment, because this one thinks it's going to func T int string. Yeah. So now if I commented this out, yeah, now we have a problem because it doesn't know how to do anything, which makes sense. Okay. We need this to allow you to be open. Okay. So what am I getting at with this is the number of type parameters that are defined in the target method need to be on the apply. It's not required per se that the caller actually puts these, like that you say here, apply of T. Okay. You could do that. Now that's fine. You can do that too. That should be fine as well. And in this case, it's not telling me that I can simplify this. Okay. But I don't have to specify these either, and it works just fine. So I have to make, that's what I'm getting at. That's what, it took me, 10 minutes to get to this point of, it's not the apply call itself. It's the target method, the number of type parameters that are there. When I generate the method, they have to be there as well. If I don't see any in air quotes, which is what you'd see if I would do something like this. This is, well, this is a, crap. Yeah, I have to be able to determine if this is where it gets back to rocks, where you look at these and say, if you have type arguments, are the type arguments equal to the type parameters? Okay. And so you look at the method parameters, type arguments, and do the same thing. And then it becomes very simple to just say, those are the open generics. That's what you put here. And then these names here should, I think, just fall out as a natural consequence, I believe. Because you're looking at the type name, and the type name is a T, and it will just go, that's what I need to put here. So I don't think there's any consequence there. Okay. So what we need to have is, and partially applied, I believe, is to have on an extension with iMethod symbol that says get, because in rocks we were just detecting, do you have open generics? And in this case we want to get a list of public static immutable array of string, because we just need the names, that's all we need. Get open generic names. This iMethod symbol self. Okay? And so I'm going to say var names is equal to immutable array string builder. And we're eventually going to do return names to immutable. This is, I can never figure, create builder string. There, okay. Now I need to say if self type parameters length is greater than 0. Now let's come back to rocks here. Okay. I just said that's type arguments. The method itself has no type parameters. Then we don't care. We only care in this case. So if we say self dot type arguments, at the self that, then we would do names dot add of self dot type parameters of I name. And I think that should be just fine. Okay. Now we could and should write a test for this at some point. So I'm just a little hesitant because I'm like, I really just want to do this. Okay. So what would happen if we go to the standard delegate builder here, and we would say var apply open generics, which is equal to apply open generics equals target get open generic names if apply length greater than 0. Well, then we would do var open generics equal to, if you have more than that, then you're going to do a string.empty. I believe. We'll see. Nope, not that. String.join of your famous, comma, apply open generic names. Okay, there you go. And then this would go, it would actually go with the apply name, would it? Because it's only used in one spot. Yeah, I think what we want to do then is say result.apply name, apply open generics. Because if you didn't, it would just be a string empty, and if you did, then yeah, that should work. That should work. Okay. All right, so I believe that should be just fine. And then I could probably do the same thing on the custom delegate builder. Except in this case, there's a little bit more work that goes down, which is the ref return and whatnot. Okay. Now, this should not break anything. This should not, well, build succeeded. It still needs to run the test that currently exists, but we're nowhere done. Okay, so they passed. Okay. For what that is worth. What I really need to do is come down to here and start putting some tests in, because I'm really missing it. I think for this one, I really need to make some tests to say, hey, in this case, what does it do for open generics? And then look to see what it generates, and then start writing some integration tests to see that it does the right thing. Yeah, it would be nice if, yeah, anyway, it's a Monday when I'm doing this, and I'm getting near time, and I think I'm done for the morning and the day doing this, but the next episode will be seeing if what I just did actually works. And if it does, then this issue's closed, which would be actually kind of nice. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.